Alright, first off, I want to give all praises and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kwadash, the honors, the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, the hopeful elect. Shalom. This is the brother Aaron from the James Jamaica camp, come with another quick lesson. And just going through some scriptures about, learning to hold one's tongue. I know I struggle with that sometimes. I know other brothers, may struggle with it at times, but keeping our words short or using our words sparingly, it just overall, it can, it can be a defense. It can be a way that could guide you and bring you through a lot of things. Not because you know something doesn't necessarily mean that we should utter it. Of late I've also been in a few situations that, it's actually pained me very well, to hold my tongue. Now, definitely there's a balance to it. It does not saying that we shouldn't speak at all, but it's actually using our words within the right seasons. So I'm just gonna go through a few scriptures. As the scripture gives me utterance, I'll speak, and hopefully this is edifying. So the first precept is Proverbs 18 verse 21. It says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof." And that is the thing, it says death and life are in the power of the tongue. Even not saying that brothers shouldn't, joke around, or, not saying that, you can't crack a joke here or there, but, even with some of the jokes that we make, we have to be careful of our utterances. Some of the utterances that we make, I think it's Bruce Lee that had that quote, that you shouldn't, make fun of yourself even as a joke, because, you may be sending that message to your spirit. I don't remember if it was Bruce Lee, but, it's just pretty much a quote that's saying that, be mindful how you talk about yourself, even in a joking manner. There are certain things that, we shouldn't utter. And, even out here in, the Kingston camp, sometimes we make a joke and, brother will say, "Hey, you know what, take that one back. Remember that we're prophets." So there are times when we speak and, there are actually powers in the words, so we should be mindful of our speech. Not everything is to be joked about with or messed about with. And also, the things that you think about and, your whole mindset, it also comes through your speech. So, examining our speech is very key. All right. Let me get to the next precept, which is Proverbs 28. No, not that one. Salakia. Proverbs, James 3 and 5. Let me get that instead. It's James 3 verse 5. It says, "Even so the tongue is a little member, and boasteth great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. And the tongue is a fire, a word of iniquity. So is the tongue among our members. It defileth the whole body, and setteth on fire the course of nature, and it set on fire all hell." It says, "For every kind of beast, and of birds, and of serpents, and of things in the sea is tamed, and hath been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil, full of deadly poison." And that's just the thing, we have to be mindful, just saying a one line, saying one word, revealing too much or information, or just bringing certain things to light just by speaking at the wrong time, you know, can open a whole can of worms. That's why in Ecclesiastes it says, there's a time and place for everything under the face of the sun. You know, just saying things, the tongue, just, sometimes, some two persons will be good until just one thing gets said, and then, it's all hell breaking loose. If you really think about it, through the tongue can come, you know, what's the word that I'm looking for? Through the tongue, discord can be sown up against brothers, through the tongue. As I say, wrong information. A lot of people die by the speaking too much, giving the wrong information. As I said before, there are a lot of things and consequences that actually, can come from, speaking too much, and not only speaking too much, but, saying the wrong things at the wrong time, or just overall saying the wrong things, just, get things going. It says that what all manner of beasts have been tamed, and it says that how much that a little fire kindled. These forest fires that we see sometimes, it's just one little spark, caught maybe a leaf or something, and next thing you know, the whole forest is burning down. And that's what the tongue is likened onto, a little spark that can cause a whole lot of hell. So, it's good to be mindful, of how we're speaking and how much words we're using, and if we're using it in the right time or within the right season. Let me get the next precept. What the hell? The next precept would be what was it? Proverbs. Right, Proverbs 21 verse 23. It says, "Whoso keepeth his mouth and his tongue keepeth his soul from troubles." There it goes again. Keeping our mouth. Let's look on this word keep. The Hebrew word shamar, which means to keep, to guard, to have a charge of, right? To retain, to take heed, keep oneself from, refrain, abstain. So if we abstain from doing that much talking, we can actually keep ourselves out of a lot of trouble. Yeah, we tend to get ourselves in trouble with words as well. Yeah, that's another thing. Not only can it start things, but it can actually get us in trouble. All right. Next precept is Proverbs 17, and I'll start at verse 27. It says, "He that hath knowledge spareth his words, and a man of understanding is of an excellent spirit." All right. So it says, "He that hath knowledge spareth his words." Be sparing. And here's a point, verse 28. It says, "Even a fool, when he holdeth his peace, is counted as wise, and he that shutteth his lips is esteemed a man of understanding." So, so there's merit in that. There's merit in keeping quiet. And as I said, these are scriptures that I'm just going through to this, as a reminder to myself first and foremost. But, hopefully this is actually edifying to brothers. Some of these scriptures are scriptures we may read all the time, but just as a refresher and a reminder to, what the scriptures are saying about, learning how to hold our tongue, to hold our peace. All right. Now, next precept is Ecclesiastes chapter 5, and I'll start at verse 1. It says, "Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of the Most High." When we go out there at camp, when we are actually praying, the scriptures tell us that we should meditate upon what we want before we actually pray in front of the Most High. It's in the book of Sirach. But when we go to the highways and edges, when we're praying, in general, right? Once we are coming before Yahweh Hashem Shai, right? It says, "Be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools." When we're watching the of late, to say recently, Apostle Gabar actually was highlighting a few guys that came on the comment board, and actually gave the sacrifice of fools, saying things that were not convenient or even applied to the situation because of their lack of understanding, just because they were quick to utter things, that they didn't even understand, right? It says, "And be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil." And that's just the thing, you will be quick to utter a few things. You may hear a breakdown, or you'll be at camp and you're just learning, and someone says something and you just blurt out something that's evil. I remember when I was just coming in, the brother Shapar was breaking down something, on the camera, and I, just coming in, right? I don't think I was even a part of the campus yet, but I was, around the camp, and Shapar said something, and I was just ready and quick to add a point, and what I had said was, was against the scriptures, and it was like, no, you can't say that. The scripture does not support that. I was quick to utter, something, or quick to add a point, not realizing that I was actually, in the error, So it's the same thing, even certain things concerning, certain judgments that the apostles may pass down, or, certain judgments that you may hear, you may see certain things. It's not good to just quick and just speak upon it. Over the years, the apostles have given out, you'd say decrees, and they'll give certain instructions and give certain standards that they wish for us to follow, or they may break down something that you don't fully get right away, and over time, as despite not understanding those things and just giving it time and not bucking up or anything like that, eventually it gets revealed. I'm not saying that everything the apostles said I got it right away, but over time, as you realize that, hey, these men have more experience. They maybe it's something that I'm missing, maybe I haven't understand. And even the heads of in our camp out here in Jamaica, or sometimes some brothers will be discussing something and you just don't get it, but guess what, you just fall back. Brothers that are high in the spirit speak and say certain things, you just fall back, watch how it plays out, and then eventually it gets revealed. That's been my experience, and I know other brothers can say the same. So it's not always good to just be quick to say what you think and come up with your own thing just because you don't understand something right there then and there. Sometimes it's good to, as it says, be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifices of fools, especially when there's an order set up, and you follow Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, through the order that has been set up, right? Verse 2 says, "Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before the Most High. For the Most High is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few." And that is it. We should definitely, be as men. Hey, in every case, here out here in Jamaica, once a guy talks too much, they're gonna be like, "Yo, you're a gal," meaning, "Are you a girl? Why are you talking so much?" Much, a lot of speaking or heavy speaking, much speech usually is associated to something that women do. You know, it's not an attribute of men to be constantly talking, you know, or just talking for the sake of talking. You know, that's not a manly thing, you know. So moreover, seeing as though we are in flesh, and it's very easy for us to slip with the tongue, you know, might mess around and say the wrong thing, you know, which the angels bring back everything to the Lord. I want to therefore let you know, as it says right here, therefore let thy words be few. Verse 3 says, for a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by the multitude of words. And that's another thing, you know. That's another thing. You know, when it comes down to someone being foolish, one of the main things, or one of the main characteristics of a fool is someone who actually speaks too much. You know, doing a lot of unnecessary talking, you know, just saying something just to have something to say, or just saying something just to be seen, you know, with no direct purpose. You know, in the New Testament, you know, the Apostle Paul said, what? Let all things be done unto edifying. And it's the same thing with our speech. You know, our speech should be something that's unto edification. You know, I was reading a book, and one of the examples, you know, they was actually going into how, you know, a lot of people tend to get in trouble with their words. And, you know, he told a story about this man that was supposed to die in Russia by hanging. And when they were actually hanging him, the rope actually broke. And he pretty much insulted the Russians, saying that, you know, the Russians are so stupid that they can't even make good rope. You know, and usually they would see that as a the Russians would see that as a sign that maybe that person shouldn't be hung. And while the person who had the authority to actually let them go was actually, you know, about to sign that that letter to say, you know, I'll let this person go, because the rope broke, and they're looking at it as some form of omen. He asked the guard that was there that, hey, you know, when the rope break, did he say anything? And he said yes. You know, he pretty much said that, you know, we don't know how to make good rope. And they say, all right, so set him up for tomorrow. Let's go ahead and prove him wrong. Right? Because what? You just said the wrong thing at the wrong time. You know, sometimes we think we're being funny. Sometimes we think we're being sarcastic. But really, you know, we're way out of line. You know, we're out of pocket. And that tends to actually, you know, cost us. You know, it really tends to cost us. Now, I'm definitely gonna go into the Apocrypha, and I'm gonna get a few precepts as well from the Apocrypha. Once again, you know, just going through these reminders, just going through the Spirit, as you know, the Lord Yahweh Shai give me utterance. You know, really not trying to make this long, but you know, just flowing in the Spirit. Let me check right here. Alright, this is Sirach 5, verse 11 to 13. It says, be swift to hear, and let thy life be sincere, and with patience give answer. So, you know, it's good to as Apostle Gabar always says, you know, we have 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You know, it means that we should watch and listen more than how we speak. All right? But it says what? Be swift to hear. This should be the thing that you want to do first, you know. You're supposed to be quick to want to hear. Right? It says, and let thy life be sincere, and with patience give answer, meaning that, you know, within, you know, you have to give it time. You know, you wait your turn. Right? It says, if thou hast understanding, answer thy neighbor. So if thou hast, you know, if you know the answer, or if you have something that, you know, you'd like to say, or, you know, you can give that answer, you know, answer your neighbor. But if not, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. If it's a case where, you don't understand what's being said, you don't have a solution, you just, you literally just don't have anything to say or anything meaningful to add, then just be quiet. It says, honor and shame is in talk, and the tongue of a man is, and the tongue of a man is his fall. Exactly. All right. So hearing, listening, being quick to listen is key. All right. And as I said earlier, it's not about not speaking at all, but it is speaking within due season. And you want to, you want to speak, you want to listen more and observe more than you speak. All right. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 9 verse 18. It says, a man of an ill tongue is dangerous in his city, and he that is rash in his talk shall be hated. We're pretty sure, we don't want to be that guy, that's just always, running our mouths, just talking. That's annoying, and I've seen it, and I'm sure other brothers have seen it, whether it's at work or, in some environment or the next, where there's always this one person that's always talking, and when they leave, everybody's like, oh God, if we finally left, we don't want to be that guy. It's a very, shameful thing. And it says, a man of an ill tongue is dangerous in his city. So we don't want to do, too much talking. We don't want to be that guy that's known for just always running, his mouth, just always talking, right? This is Ecclesiasticus 19 verse 6. Well, I'll go to verse 8. It says, he that can rule his tongue shall live without strife. Exactly. One of the main things as well is actually, speaking on other man's matters and getting involved in other people's thing, throwing around your opinion where it's not needed, that tend to cause a lot of strife, saying something that, knowing that just saying it, even though you're not speaking to it, but just making certain utterance, and then someone takes offense to it, and then, now you have a problem, right? It says, he that hateth babbling shall have less evil. Exactly. And if you just don't like to babble, you have less trouble, right? Rehearse not unto another that which is told unto thee, and thou shalt fear never the worst. So if someone tells you something, you don't go around, speaking that back, maybe that was just meant for your ears only, So someone tells you something, don't just go ahead and, gossiping and tail bearing and all that shit, You just know what you know, and you just keep it moving, right? It says, whether it be to friend or foe, talk not of other men's lives, and if thou canst without offense, reveal them not. Exactly. So, if possible, you don't reveal what you know about other people. You don't reveal what other people have said unto you. It says what? And if thou canst without offense. Now, if in the event that something, let's say that you're a witness, or, it may be an incident that you may need to clear up something, or resolve a matter, there are certain situations where you may have to say, I know this, or this happened, or that's not how it goes, For example, let's say someone is being wrongfully accused of something, and you have the information to actually, clear it up, or whatever the case may be, And once again, it just depends on the situation. You definitely may need to speak up in a case like that. But just in general, just revealing secrets and just tale bearing and, having a conference over, gossiping like, like a woman makes no sense. With that, you're going to definitely get yourself into trouble with that, because, news always gets around. And the next thing you and someone, are in some form of issue just because you just couldn't keep your mouth shut. Just because you're talking for the sake of talking, just because you wanted to add something to a conversation. You know, sometimes we have certain strategies going on and certain things that we're doing, and just the mere fact that we talk about it and we tell people about it, it doesn't even work out. There's a term, or there's an instance, or studies have shown that people tend to talk about things that they want to do so much to the point where their mind think that they have actually done it, so they don't get anything done, because they talk about it so much. It's as if they actually did it when they really didn't do shit. So in the unnecessary talk, it really does more harm than good. Continuing on, this is Ecclesiasticus, that was 19:20 and 6. It says, well, I'll go down to 8. It says, someone holdeth his tongue because he had not to answer, and some keepeth silence, knowing his time. Exactly. There's a time when sometimes it's just not the time to speak at that time, so you just hold your tongue despite you knowing what you know. And then there are times when you just don't talk because you genuinely don't know the answer. Right? It says, a wise man will hold his tongue till he see opportunity, but a babbler and a fool will regard no time. And that's the thing, you lose your advantage in some situations like that. Right? You expose yourself and leave yourself open, because what you did not regard the time, or no one takes you serious about what you say because you did not regard the time. It says, he that useth many words shall be abhorred, meaning avoided or hated, and he that taketh to himself authority, therein shall be hated. All right, so just do it. Doing the using many words is also annoying. It's very annoying when someone keeps talking and talking and talking, but somehow they can't seem to get to their point. They take you all around the world and talking for 1 hour straight, you still don't get the point. That's very annoying. Or when they do get, by the time they do get to the point, you have already lost. Like, it just makes no sense. The whole thing is thrown off because what? Too many words. All right. Next precept, Ecclesiasticus 22 verse 27. It says, who shall set a watch before my mouth, and a seal of wisdom upon my lips, that I fall not suddenly by them, and that my tongue destroy me not. And that's the thing, we want to pray to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai to actually, to do this, to set a watch before our mouths, and a seal of wisdom upon our lips, that we fall not suddenly, by evildoers, and that our tongue destroy us not. That's a very good prayer to pray, because it really, once we pray this with faith, it shall be done. Once we pray this in the name of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, it shall be done. It's a very good thing to ask for, that Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, put a watch before our mouths, and seal of wisdom upon our lips, that we fall suddenly not by our evildoers, and that our tongue destroy us not. All right. Next precept is Ecclesiasticus 28, and I'll start at verse 17 all down. It says, the stroke of the whip maketh marks in the flesh, but the stroke of the tongue breaketh bones. So some things that when it gets said, you can definitely feel that. you know it says, many have fallen by the edge of the sword, but not so many as have fallen by the tongue. See how much time the scriptures warn us that our tongue can be our downfall. So it's not good to be talking too much. It says, well is he that is defended through the venom thereof, who had not drawn the yoke thereof, nor had been bound in her bonds. Those that are trapped by the tongue. Right? It says, for the yoke thereof is a yoke of iron, and the bonds thereof are bonds of brass. It's like it's like being pulled in captivity. It says, the death thereof is an evil death. The grave were better than it. So it's pretty much better that you die than to be a prisoner of your own tongue. Not knowing how and when to shut the hell up. Right? It says, it shall not have rule over them that fear the Most High, neither shall they be burned with the flame thereof. And that is why we need to pray to Yahweh Shem Yahushai to increase our fear in them, so that we may be saved from the tongue. And that is why going through the scriptures help us to acknowledge these things, and through the Spirit be able to operate in a way that we're not destroyed, or that we're not taken, by these things. Right? It says, such as forsake the Lord shall fall into it, and it shall burn in them and not be quenched. It shall be sent upon them as a lion, and devour them as a leopard. Look that thou edge thy possessions about with thorns, and bind up thy silver and gold, and weigh thy words in a balance, and make a door and bar for thy mouth. So it says what it says? It says, weigh thy words in a balance, and make a door and a bar for thy mouth. Beware thou slide not by it, lest thou fall before him that lieth in wait. And exactly, you have some people that lie in wait, that try to study your every move, people that, are against you, and especially like, when you're thinking about these other camps, that's why Apostle Gabar always said, all the apostles, but Apostle Gabar, said quite a few times about how to stick to the scriptures, and keep it simple, stupid, get to the point, say what you have to say, move on to the next scripture, speak as it's, of the scripture, because you have some people that lie in wait for you to just ramble until you say something messed up. And I can tell within every, even among Jake, among the unbelievers, there are a lot of, political moves, and, a lot of shade and people that don't like you, or, people that try to get you, or people that are trying to move around. And what they do is they come around and listen to what you have to say, and they gather information on you, and they use the information that you give and overthrow you. And you're wondering, how did they know that, or how did that happen? It must be someone told them, or, I only told one person about this, or whatever the case may be, when really and truly, it's you're the one who gave all that information, because, you talk too much, And that's why I pray to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, that, that I weigh my words in a balance, so, so that I don't fall, right? I'll read the last two verses again. It says, and weigh thy words in a balance, and make a door and bar for thy mouth. Beware thou slide not by it, lest thou fall before him that lieth in wait. So it's careful, you have to be careful what you say. I'm around to and around people. All right. Next precept. What chapter was this? 28. I think it should be a few more. Akim, Baba Kwasha, just bear with me. Alright, yeah, we're actually at the last two. This is Ecclesiasticus 32 verse 7. It says, speak, young man, if there be need of thee. Okay, right, that last line there, if there be need of thee, and yet scarcely when thou art asked twice. Meaning, let them ask, it have to come down to where they, they ask you, you can even pretend like you didn't hear, And then when they do ask you again, then you might answer, because it says, and yet scarcely when thou art twice asked. Right? It says, let thy speech be short, comprehended much in few words, be as one that knoweth and yet holdeth his tongue. And sometimes, you talk in parables, sometimes you talk, you get to the point, and if it's either they get it or they don't, but it says what? Let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words, be as one that knoweth and yet holdeth his tongue. And then I'm going to jump down to verse, I think it should be verse 18. Is it 18? Oh, it's 37, right. So yeah. So right. Right. So let thy speech be short, comprehended much in few words. Sometimes, even when you know, you act as if you don't know. Right. And the final precept here is Ecclesiasticus, our book of Sirach, chapter 37, verse 18. It says, four manner of things appear, good and evil, life and death, but the tongue ruleth over them continually. Exactly, because guess what? One of the whether you receive good, or whether you receive evil, or whether it's a case that you're operating within the spirit of life, or whether or not you're following the ways of death. One of the main things that contribute to this is how you speak, right? It really depends on how well or how much of a rule you have over your tongue. All right. So just a few things to consider. Hopefully this was edifying. Right. We just want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, the hopeful elect. Shalom.